Hello and welcome everyone. This is Blackadder at Blackadder's Place, and yet again, of course, I'm here on Tuesday with more Age of Mythology, and this time it's going to be the third round from the Bad Luck Bracket of the Frozen Times tournament and a match between Sister Sisters and last minute arrivals. Well, looking at the map, we are of course going to be playing on a pretty interesting one, that is a Vinlandsaga, which usually provides pretty fun games overall, as we have seen also in the finals just recently. And they are going to be facing, or rather seeing players facing each other that are from Deities of Death, aka the Fister Sisters, Chaos is back, as Oranos within the Joe 1244, as Set, and the last one, Narve, as Oranos, so basically the big guns right now for the Fister Sisters, and against them last minute rivals are going to be playing with Tompex, as Loki, Matreus, and Aigo Heimdall are going to be playing Oranosis. It seems like kind of standard setup, especially for the Teeth of Death, whereas for the other team, for last minute arrivals, there is an interesting switch in, or rather from the Egyptian into the Norse, into Loki, which was actually the kind of strategy that was used on Vinlandsaga a few years back, where actually Norse meta was quite heavy on this map before it was discovered that Oranosis are slightly better and potentially Egyptians as well. But to be saying that the map is overall discovered meta-wise, that would be definitely wrong, because it's not played all that often, especially in tournament levels. So let's see how the players are going to be approaching the map with the Loki, their midst against the Set for the opposing team. Alright then, we are right now starting with Tompex, who is having, of course, normal start basic as the rest of the players. Having 5 berries, that's not how bad. I think you can spawn from about 3 or 4 to about 6 when you are actually at low spawn. You sometimes might be having problems with resources, and might be actually forced into slower advances as such. But since you are of course having a lot of water around yourself, you usually do have quite good possibilities where to gather some extra food line. Seems like, yeah, Tompex couldn't really find anything in there, and I need to put on the blinder. I always forget it after casting live, but it's on now. And well, so far it seems like it's going to be fine in the end, as this was kinda scary a bit. You can see absolutely no fishes, just the orcas that you cannot really gather from, but he definitely did find something in the end, and it's not really all that bad. Yeah, right now looking at pretty decent con right now for Aigo Heimdall, who is his teammate. In definitely pretty nice, not nice position of the dock, but he wanted to spare some time with the catering because he's Atlantean and those villages move damn slow, so he didn't really want to waste any kind of time walking around, but he is already moving with the 2 oracles, which means that he has actually killed one, so that he has slightly more efficient economy at the start, meaning that he won't be housed as soon as potentially the opponents, who might be going with 3 oracles. So far I'm seeing just 2 oracles from Matreus as well, so that seems to be definitely the case in point for the players for last minute arrivals, and for the other team we are so far looking also at just 2, so it's pretty much that everybody is going for the 2 oracle start. Yeah, they have to learn their strategy. We are also looking at the Set already being on the mainland and to potentially find some animals that he could be converting, and he's starting at least with the deer, even though he could definitely find something more like bears and even some other animals I think are present on this island. But you mustn't forget that on Vinlandsaga you are also risking running into Skrellings, and once you do, exactly like this hyena, they are not gonna let you go, and he cannot really risk you 1244 losing the priest, because that would be a pretty big problem, not being able to capture any animals onto his side. His hyena is going to be pretty much toast, because those 4 dudes are going to be running after it until they kill it. But since it's reasonably fast for 480, could still still scout around a bit, even though it almost looks like that she's running into a trap, but not really true anymore. And we are going to be having a look where players are actually positioning themselves. You can see right now Ulsak from Dompex being transported into the mainland as well. And they so far seem to be quite far away from each other. And looking at the town centers, we are having basically one, oh, it's going to be better visible on this big map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 basically on the left, we are seeing basically 5 on the right, and those 2 are more or less on the line. They are slightly to the top side, but not really all that much. It's because this lower island is kind of finally spawned, but really those 2 could be considered basically on the line, so not any kind of significant advantage or anything for either of the side. So it should be pretty much fine. So not really a bad spawn of Vinlandsaga at all. Looking right now, that Chaos is back is actually stopping with building villages That should be signaling that he wants to advance into the next age, as he's dropping a temple right now, right next to his hometown center, and already scouting at the back quite a lot, trying to find a very good position for Dox is gonna be for his Egyptian teammate, because that is usually what the Egyptians do. A Joe 1244 is right now building a temple right on the big island, already trying to basically conquer this TC for himself. Doesn't really want to risk anything, he's going to be shifting sanding on top of it, so that he isn't really surprised or anything, some such. But looking at right now, Tompex, who is basically doing the same with the TC on the right side of the island, I'm kind of thinking that maybe the TC of that might want to be a bit more adventurous. He's probably really going to be shifting sands on top of this TC. And if he went for a bit more front TC, maybe even just outright steal, attempt to steal one of the opponent's TCs because they are slightly, ever so slightly on the opponent's side. It might be something to think about, because once you go for the shifting sands with like, I don't know, 15 citizens, it's not like anybody can stop you so fast in the game. Matreus and Heimdall right now through classical ages. Going to be probably expecting all the other players advancing as well. Now Prometheus, but interestingly enough, Joe isn't still advancing. That's really kind of curious. We are looking at Yellow advancing just now. We are looking to also just now. And Teal really just now clicking. That's going to be pretty late advance at 5:30. And let's see, because basically all three players from the opposing team are already through. Tompik's just now going to be a bit later, but he's already 50%. Already going to be transporting the villages in there. And is somebody going to be going for water fighting? So far I'm just seeing a pretty big economy on the water from Dompex, but it's going to be pretty much the same for the opposing players. And Matreus is already going for the water fights and going to be putting the Teal player into a pretty difficult situation. In the meantime, of course, army from both Heimdall and Matreus is coming into the offensive, as we are looking at relic for cheaper villages. Not how bad. Not how bad at all, as right now Joe is trying to actually protect himself with building a wall. So that's definitely nicely played, because he will be forcing his opponent to go around and through the military buildings of Narvi, which is not really all that great, but still, it might actually allow the yellow player to deal some extra damage that he didn't need to do all that much. Those two deer. That's for chip in there. We are looking at vision, and that's going to be probably shifting sands, and he's going for the a bit safer TC, because right now he's recognizing that the situation might be a bit more complicated right next to his TC, and he's probably thinking that with his ally being at the bottom and his basically animal army being on top of it with the budget and the priest, he should be pretty much fine to hold this position, and he wants to be moving to the back and basically spamming TCs as much as he can, as we have seen in other attempts at Vinlandsaga. Of course, we are looking at the faster advances for Heimdall and Matreus are going to be paying off. They are already set up and pumping a whole lot of army right next to the opponent's bases. They are right now basically occupying even opponent TCs. Super important for them, but this cliff is a bit of a problem, because he needs to go all the way around. Tompex also arriving right next to the opponent with quite a lot of Hersiers. They really seem to be doing quite well, and especially right now, yeah, the mana are definitely in the correct place, but he needs to be careful, because this needs to finish if he wants to switch into some more Milos, of course. Which he definitely will want to do. Just to the transport ship. That's still kind of funny. It's probably waiting to transport them into the home island or some such, because they could be considered as a source, of course. And looking at the water fights, not really all that much significant stuff happening, but we are looking at a bit of a transporting of actually Prometheans that are going from Chaos's back, together with Yellow, with Narvi, onto actually Green's base, and is Green going to be protecting himself somehow? So far he's going with transport ship, so he's going to be attempting to transport the hero Turmas. But quite curious if it's going to be actually fast enough. You can see right now, unfortunately, Matreus is also housed for himself, but he's going to be repairing, so it should be pretty much fine, as even though they are going to be dealing pretty decent damage, help seems to be already coming into place with the 3 Hersiers from red player, and of course, the extra help coming in with the Turmas from Matreus. So even though pretty nice attempt, unfortunately, it's going to be just a bit too slow. Bye, and the Hersiers are gonna really put a stop to this nice attempt. This was very nice, you can see quite close. 250 hit points left. But unfortunately in the end it didn't work, and quite nice reaction right now by last minute arrivals, so this is not going to be what will be winning the game at all. In the meantime, of course, on the water you don't see all that many crucial fights, just kind of small skirmishes, as Narvi is reacting basically on Matreus's harassment from the early game, and so is Joe. So potentially the water is right now going to be coming into the power of the Deities of Death. This is actually nice. With the protection from Tompex into his teammate, and we are going to be moving into the mainland, where unfortunately Narvi is finding himself in a precarious situation, especially his citizens, as those archers are exactly at the correct place, but not really moving correctly. They definitely could have cut him off from the bottom side and killed him. But with the friends coming in to save the day, yeah, he's going to be getting to live just a moment longer. In the meantime, we are also looking at pretty decent trading at the back of basically all whole economy of both Chaos' back and Joe. Decent trading and goodbye onto this villager, because I don't see manors being close by. Yeah, they are quite far away. Valkyrie should be, or should she? Unfortunate. This is unfortunate because maybe you could have run away, because the units were just bumping into each other, but that's not really going to be the case anymore. Just to retreat somewhere and wait basically for some extra reinforcements, which are not all that far away. You can see that Tompex has already established himself right next to the opponent's base, and of course he's going to be waiting for the reinforcements from his teammates that are just about ready to come into play. Just right now looking, for example, for some green army. It's right now getting killed in the middle, rather at the bottom, where was a pretty huge battle, as you can see. Huge amount of green turmas, so that's exactly why I couldn't find any green army. It was because it was taking fight in a pretty bad spot and basically being annihilated altogether. Now looking at Joe, taking a 30C already, trying to basically protect his position on the map, which is definitely a great idea. Yeah, warship is gonna get killed, as unfortunately for Joe, he wasn't fast enough getting rid of it. Could have potentially killed 2 citizens, which would be pretty bad. But that didn't really happen, and we are just now waiting for last minute arrivals to basically get comfortable for some pretty big attack, because right now they are not. And oh, this is the bad battle for it. Yeah, and he's definitely recognizing it, because it's really looking like that the Fister sisters are establishing themselves on the mainland, and it might be turning actually into a battle quite close by to last minute arrivals base very soon. Of course, of the hunt on the island, quite close by to the town center, that might be interesting for the red player, as he's basically right now scouting around, trying to find something, and basically this is a pretty great idea, because he's expecting, the same as at the bottom, that Joe will be attempting to take the extra TCs pretty soon, and he will at least know about them, if not be stopping them altogether. If only villagers go for the town centers there and not, for example, supported by Pharaoh. Okay, pretty important and big battle now happening in the middle of the map with Tompex. Yeah, engaged in a pretty good battle, I have to say, together with Heimdall, but we are still missing basically the green player who is attempting, rather making use of this diversion. Take a DC, a pretty important spot on the map, and it seems to be working quite nicely, as even though the battle seems all kinds of fishy, red together with purple are dealing some substantial damage to the opponent's army. Though not really to deal, so having a pretty good map, pretty good game. Should be even advancing to the next age sometime soon. Well, somebody's overdoing gold. Like, significantly a lot. He needs to continue exactly with the hunt, and he is attempting to do exactly that, because he would definitely like to advance into the next ages. We right now see that Red will be probably attempting to advance into a heroic age himself, but he needs to be careful, because of course, since Joe isn't losing any kind of army, and neither was Yellow all that significantly, they are thinking that they might be taking the fight to the opponent's base. And looking at the amount of slingers against those Turmas, they definitely could, if they play this correctly. Especially if Blue is gonna join them as well. In the meantime, of course, Blue was attempting to take a TC with 2 citizens that are right now toast, and this is exactly very nice scouting at the back, but unfortunately it also means that they are giving the opportunity to Joe to take a TC a bit more to the north, because all the army is right now on the left, and yeah, they're attempting to take it at least, but still, this is a bit of a shame, and Tompex definitely could have left the 2 guys in there, as we are looking a bit more attempted trading and scouting from Narvi, probably, trying to see what's about, what's happening around the map, but Matreus is paying enough attention in there. Well, of course, this is nice. This is nice from Tompex, and quite risky to be honest, because the transport ship is almost dead, so he could really lose into units needlessly without any kind of effect. But we are also looking at pretty nice clever landing, basically on Yellow's Island, and he will be attempting to push reach the town center pretty soon, as there's not really any kind of significant counterplay to be had, because he's back gonna be transporting a whole lot of citizens, as we are also looking at pretty much inevitable push forward and unstoppable from Joe together with Narvi. And like that last minute rivals are having pretty big problems right now, especially looking at Joe being 40 Cs and basically booming and not losing units at the same time. But that's pretty dangerous for last minute rivals, and they definitely need to do something about that. Let's just check through the players if somebody's advancing into the next ages. Yeah, that kills his back, who so far isn't ready for it at all, as he's having a bit of fun right next to his military, or rather next to opponent's military buildings. Tompex, oh, he's definitely saving for Mythic. That one is definitely saving for Mythic. Matreus is going anywhere. Joe is also not going anywhere, and he's gonna lose the town center at the very top, as you can see right now, because he has like no army, and of course extra reinforcements are coming in just now with the board. So yeah, it's coming down, and that's very nicely played by the red player. Heimdall also not advancing. Narvi might be thinking about it, but he is still at just 1 TCs. He should definitely rectify that. But he was attempting to do so in here, but was stopped. And of course, that meant a pretty big problem for his team, which is right now being compounded basically by the fact that Joe is losing absolutely everything. He has lost basically his whole army. His whole army. Narvi was just a bit too late to arrive in the battlefield. So this is just running battle around yet again, because of course, with the total annihilation of Joe's army, because he's back not really being present all that much, are right now looking at the potential possibility of the opponents striking back. As at the top, of course, the TC being killed as expected, and there is a bit of a hunt on the villages from Tompex. Unfortunately, those guys will not be coming into any kind of safe position at all, and looking at the TCs being captured all across the map for Tompex and also at the back right now by Heimdall, so it looks like the last minute arrivals are basically capturing everything. There is going to be an interesting attempt to at least have a look at the top, and maybe this is going to be one of the last DCs that they could be capturing safely, as the Scaling is yet again quite angry with the piggy. And the amount of town centers is definitely growing lower and lower by the minute, especially if you consider that there's going to be an opportunity for the red player to potentially go for the yellow TC right on the middle island. Yep, that potentially could be a pretty big problem for him, as Matreus is still continuing with raiding around the water economy of the opponents, and maybe not even those fishing boats are going to be safe in just about a minute or some such. Next TC right now for Tompex. That's going to be third and fourth. Establishing himself at the top, right next to gold with Hillfort, and yep, it seems like that the opportunity has been basically kinda lost advance for 80s of that, because right now the centers are definitely not in their favor, and that will mean that they will be just lacking the army, as of course Tompex with Matreus and Heimdall are all with more than one TCs, whereas for the 80s of that, aka the Fister Sisters, it's just Joe 1244. And of course, with the very limited map control, they are going to be running out of gold reasonably soon as well, as we are just now looking at pretty important battle and pretty clever choice of switching into Gale Ballista as Age is now through with Neftis. As of course, they are going to be pretty good not only against Murmilos, but especially against Hercers from the opponent. Yeah, switching into Hillfort, so that he can actually build some portable rams, maybe even Ballistae, because he is just now advancing through Mythic. Good line of sight in there, and we are right now looking at Narvi advancing into Thea. That could definitely help, especially with a pretty big army from them. Medium slingers finally, so some kind of upgrades come in, but still just normal Murmilos from Narvi, unfortunately, and he could definitely use the upgrade into mediums, exactly as Heimdall is having just now. Oh, careful with those. Careful with those. Oh yeah, that's the path in. That was pretty unfortunate, because he selected basically his whole army to go back, but that means that they will regroup, and that basically send the slowest unit to the back, and basically right into the fire of the opponents. Oh man, you need to be careful about this a bit more because this is really quite a costly mistake to be making right there. In the meantime, we are looking at blue, having a bit of fun at the bottom. As this green Dryad is trying to push through in there, but that's pretty much it so far. And the market being built at least from Matreus, so probably going to be advancing to the next age as well, because he is also housed. We are looking at an interesting attempt to save the situation in here, but the combination with flaming weapons and Fimbulwinter, and of course, are we getting any wolfies on this DC? Ah, probably not. Oh yeah, we are. We are. So I was thinking that maybe they were quite unlucky, but they are exactly as lucky as they would have hoped for. And of course, this is a pretty big problem, because the army with flaming weapons is going to be killing absolutely everything. And on top of that, we are looking at the siege coming up, portable rams and the ballistae and the bores. So this DCs will probably toast pretty soon. Don't really see kind of extra effects being possible somewhere else. My DC gone as Joe is resigning, and right now Kirsten is resigning as well. So nicely played, and actually this game could have been anyone's as it was the moment was switching in course of it, but final result for last minute arrivals who were able to outcontrol their opponents through the very clever use, or rather basically stealing of the DCs on the opponent's side. That's exactly what's important on a map like Vinlandsaga. There are many hidden things that you need to do right, and it's most definitely not a simple map to play. And if you are not prepared for it strategically and in your mindset, you are going to be having problems. And of course, this was a home map from last minute arrivals, so they definitely did pick correctly, and they knew what to do with the map. Or was it actually there? Actually, the home team is Twister Sister, so that should have been theirs. Okay, so that was probably theirs. Because of the set, yeah, that makes a bit more sense. So they were kind of surprised by their opponents, I would be guessing. They knew what to do. That definitely counts for them, so yeah. That got me a bit confusing there, because it really looked like that Lutz, together with Aigo Heimdall, knew a bit better what to do on this map. Well, of course, playing quite nicely overall in the end, and a bit of fun with the scalings for the very finish of this Citizens game. Okay, so let's check into the first game. Tompex, nice score, because he was taking all of those stun centers, of course. So that makes sense, he's gonna win everything. Not bad economy from Matreus either. And even though Joe was quite nicely booming, yeah, didn't really have all that many upgrades, and of course the Egyptian economy is kinda slower at the start. Wasn't able somehow turn the extra TCs into military advantage soon enough. I was actually interested in the resource distributed from both Heimdall and Matreus to Tompex. Probably to help him with advances into the next ages and with the TCs, I would be thinking. Yeah, Joe was doing quite well, but then the big battle with the flaming weapons and the Fimbulwinter, that does decide battles and games. Okay, GG.